everyone, today I'm making a chicken recipe called chicken shawarma. Now I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, probably not, but anyway, it's a Middle Eastern dish that is just packed with flavor. Some of the spices, you know, we've got some garam masala, we've got some paprika and garlic powder and, you know, chili powder. It's very bold, very flavorful, and we're gonna serve that chicken after we marinate it and cook it over a nice bed of white rice with some pine nuts and a little bit of cilantro. And then I have a sauce for you that's a little yogurt sauce that has a little lemon juice in it, and it goes right on top of our chicken, and it is delicious. So I'm Rockin' Robin, and I'm gonna show you how to do it right after this. So let's go over our ingredients. I'm gonna start off first telling you about the ingredients for our rice. So basically what I have here is some chicken broth. I like to use chicken broth instead of water because it adds more flavor to your rice. So do that when you can. All right, I have some basmati rice here. I have some fresh parsley, pine nuts, which we're gonna toast on the stove just to toast them up and give them a little more flavor. And I have some fresh tomatoes right out of my garden. Those are fantastic when you grow your own. Now for the chicken part of our recipe, of course I have my chicken thighs. These are boneless, skinless, and most of the fat's been cut off, and you know, you can trim it up if you like. We'll need some olive oil. Now for our spices here, you can see I have quite a few here on this dish. Okay, so first up is our garam masala. Then we have some ground cumin, turmeric, chili powder, onion powder, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, and some salt. We'll also need a fresh lemon and the zest from that lemon, and we'll need some maple syrup. Now I'm adding the maple syrup in there because I like to counterbalance sort of the acidity in this recipe. I think it just makes it better. That's just how I like it. For the yogurt part of our recipe, I have 1 cup here of some plain Greek yogurt. I have a cucumber that I chopped up in pretty small pieces. We have some fresh garlic that I've minced, and we're gonna saute that on the stove to mellow out those flavors. We'll need a little lemon juice and the zest from 1 lemon here, some parsley, and some honey. So we're gonna start off by marinating our chicken because I want the most amount of time for that to, you know, incorporate all those flavors. So we'll take all of our spices and we're gonna just toss them into our bowl here. Get them all in there. And then we're gonna take our olive oil and we're gonna add about 1/2 cup. We wanna make sure we have enough liquid in there to, you know, really kind of dissolve all the spices together. And if it seems a little thick, you know, you can always add just a little bit more. And then we're gonna add some zest to our marinade here. You wanna zest your lemon first before you juice it. It's just easier. And then we'll just juice this right in there. And you're gonna do about 1 tablespoon of juice, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do the whole lemon. It's not a very big lemon. And then we're gonna add in some maple syrup, like I said earlier, and about 1 tablespoon of that just to balance out that acidity. Now you wanna take a whisk and you wanna really mix this up well. Once you get your marinade all mixed in really well and you've blended it so it's kind of dissolved together, it's time to add the chicken. Now you'll find that the chicken thighs are kind of folded up sometimes, so you want to kind of open them up so that you can get that marinade into all of the chicken. Now you're going to want to marinate for, you know, about 1 hour would be great. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with a little saran wrap and I'm going to place it in the fridge. So now we're going to head on over to the stove and start cooking up our rice. So I'm going to add the chicken broth to my saucepan over medium-high heat and bring that to a boil. Now in this pan over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast up the pine nuts that we have. You want to toss your pine nuts a little bit so they don't burn. The rice is at a full boil here. That's our cue. Put the lid on it, turn the temperature down to simmer, and we'll time that for 15 minutes. In the meantime, I think you can see these are starting to toast up a little bit. We just want them to get a little golden, and then we'll turn the heat off and let them cool. Okay, so next up is our garlic. So I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in the pan here. My temperature on the stove here is just low heat. And we're gonna put that garlic right in that oil, and we're gonna let that soften up and mellow out its flavor for about 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Now this is going into our yogurt sauce. So we're gonna want this to cool pretty much completely because, you know, the yogurt's cold and we don't want to put a hot, you know, bunch of garlic in there and warm it up. So we'll let this cool for, you know, a few minutes. Okay, so, oh, by the way, I'm preheating my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So we got that going. Now we're ready to make our yogurt sauce. So what we're gonna do here is I'm going to add the chopped up cucumbers to the yogurt, and then we're gonna add about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. But first we're gonna zest that lemon because, as you know, it's much easier to zest it when it's, you know, whole and not cut in half or whatever. So we'll do that. Then we're gonna add our chilled garlic with the oil, mix that in, make sure it's cool, guys. And we'll add a little parsley, a pinch of salt, and some honey. Now, I wanna ask you a question. Anybody have any guesses as to why I used maple syrup in the chicken marinade and I'm using honey in the yogurt sauce? Any ideas? Okay, so the reason I did that is because they say that if you heat up and cook honey, it sort of, you know, destroys the medicinal values of the honey. So you really don't want to heat it up too much. So that's why I decided to go ahead and use maple syrup in the marinade that's gonna go, you know, in the oven. And so for our yogurt sauce, honey it is, it'll stay nice and cold. Back to our yogurt sauce, go ahead and stir that to combine and then store it in the fridge until we're ready to serve up our chicken. Now we're ready to cook the chicken. So I've taken it out of the fridge and I'm gonna give it just one more little toss in the bowl. And then I have a baking sheet here and I'm just gonna place it right on here. Now, I've used foil in the past underneath, just thinking that, oh, it'll be easy cleanup. Well, there's still enough fat in this meat that it leaks out and it gets underneath the foil, so it really defeats the purpose of having it in the first place, so I just opted not to use it. And we're gonna cook this in the oven, 425 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 20 minutes. All right, our chicken is done, just pulled it out. It took about 19 minutes. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the rice and I'm gonna place it in a bowl and I'm gonna mix in the ingredients. That way everything's blended in. So we'll just pour it here in the bowl. Make sure I have room to mix. Add those pine nuts. Give that a little stir. And I'm gonna add some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can certainly sub in parsley instead. Okay, and then I have my homegrown tomatoes, which I'm gonna toss in without the juice here. And just kind of mix that in. And now we are ready to serve it up. So, the way we serve this up is you just take a little bit of rice, put it on your dish. A couple scoops like that, looks really colorful. And well, I'll just take a piece of chicken and place it right on top. And then, good. And then you take a little sauce, that yogurt sauce, and I just put it right on top. And there you have it, guys. That is it. And it is really, really good. All right, I'm starving and I can't wait to take a bite. Get a little bit of everything there. So many flavors going on. It is so good. A little crunch from the pine nuts, the tomatoes, the homegrown tomatoes. Can't go wrong with those. The yogurt sauce has its own little tang and little sweetness to it with that honey and the lemon juice going on. The chicken is very flavorful with all those spices. Very, you know, just very vibrant. I think you guys are gonna love this. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you. And if you have any questions or comments or recipe requests, be sure and leave those down below in the comments. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.